So I never really thought I would ever be conned. Like, I hear people got conned or hear stories and you're like, how did you not see that? And I never thought it would happen to me until the day it happened to me. And right now I'm smiling, but trust me, when it happened, it was not a smiling matter. It's just that I have healed. I've healed and looked at how I was stupid and how I didn't see the signs, but it happens. It happens to the best of us. Just because you passed exams you were at school doesn't mean you won't get conned. Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today it's story time and I'm going to tell you about the day I was conned. But at hindsight, I'm really going to also tell you why I'm happy it happened. Yeah, so story time. So last year, not last year, I finished Kenya School of Law in 2016 and therefore automatically I was looking for pupillage in 2017. That's last year, yeah. So you finished KSL, the results were out, I had passed and I was so happy. But I was one of those people who was not so much in a hurry to look for pupillage, yeah. Because when people are looking for pupillage in school, while in school, like in session, I was making hair videos. Anyway, so yeah, I was not in a hurry to look for pupillage because one, I had worked in a law firm before and I was not so sure I wanted to do my pupillage in a law firm, but I was not also so exposed to where else would I do pupillage. So pupillage is like internship for 6 months so that you are completely done with your advocacy program. So yeah, so January came, results were out, I had passed and I was so chilled out, and because I passed it gave me psych now to look for pupillage, but not so much psych. I was still chilled out, no pressure. Then my friends had started pupillage, most of my friends, if not all. There was one I used to hang out with a lot, Brenda, and we also applied pupillage slowly. We were just taking time to relax because you know KSL is just a lot, so I needed a break to just relax and breathe and live. So we were taking our time. Feb came, it was my birthday, and still I was not so keen until mid-Feb when I said, okay, now I need to start applying. So my sister was jobless at that time and we used to wake up so early and go to town and apply for jobs. Like you go to a cyber, you type your application letter and you put your cover letter and your CV, you update it. Like there's I think 1 week or 2 weeks straight where I dedicated to just applying. I would go even to Anniversary Towers, look at the law firms there and apply, go to the cyber with all the names and addresses, apply, and also go to other buildings in town and do the same. The process was the same. For 2 weeks I dedicated my life, and especially because now Brenda, the one I was chilling with, also got pupillage. So I was like, you need to start, you can't just be sitting at home. So now one of the days, I remember one day I woke up so early, as usual we went, applied. I can't remember the name of the building of this law firm, this particular law firm. There's a building somewhere, I can see it but I can't remember, somewhere along, I can't remember. If I remember, I'll put it down here. So I went to that building, I looked at the names of the law firms, and then I went to the cyber, did my application letter, dated my CV, and went to drop them at two law firms that were in that building. 1 week later, I'm not a morning person. I got a call, like in the morning, like at 8 o'clock. It's so noisy. Anyway, so I get a call like at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, so I pick my call and then he's like, is this Margaret Muga? I'm like, yeah, sure. Is this a good time? Yes. I woke up like so fast, I was seated now at so I'm calling you from XYZ farm, law firm, that you dropped your application. And I'm like, yes, I could remember. I could actually remember that was one of the law firms that I could actually, because I applied so many. And we got your application and we would like you to start. No, this was the last week of Feb. We'd like you to start next month, which is March. And I'm like, oh wow, there are no interviews. And then let me tell you, he replied, for you have 9 Ps and you worked at MNO, a firm that is a high profile firm. I worked there, and with such experience, we would be very honored to have you on board. I don't think we would carry any interviews for you because not many of you passed, and because you passed and we can see your experience. Didn't you work at MNO farm? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Didn't you also pass your bar exam? Yeah. So he really convinced me that they had my application, and I was like, wow, God is so faithful. Because let me tell you, as I was applying for pupillage, I knew very well I didn't want to work in a law firm, but I was like, if it has to come to this, then let this pupillage offer me good money. And you know, pupillage we are not paid that much money. So I had prayed for at least 35,000 a month. That would be decent. And I had also prayed that this farm just be a very conducive environment for me to also explore my creativity, because I do music. I used to do music as a part-time job. Now it's almost full-time, and I also had this blog that I needed to grow. So I was like, I really hope I get a good environment. So from the sound of it, someone that want to do an interview for you because you've passed and because you're working experience, like they want you chap. And it's like, I need all your details so that we can put you in the system so that you start next week. Who am I? Who am I not to believe it? I said, sure. What details? Kindly text me so that I can forward them to my email. And this guy, by the way, introduced himself as Nixon Tetu. I'd never even forget Nixon Tetu. So I woke up and he followed it up with a text of the number of things they need from me, which was NHIF, NSSF, in something about insurance, and PIN number, KRA PIN number, and just the usual KRA PIN number, and certificate of good conduct. Yes, because I remember that's what got me. So I woke up and I sent him my NHIF, NSSF, because I had worked before in a law firm. I had NSSF, I had NHIF, I had my KRA PIN. So I was like, okay, I have those, but I don't have those things for insurance details that he had. I can't even remember what details were those, and I didn't have a certificate of good conduct. So I told him, I don't have those things. Why don't you give me some time to apply? He's like, no, let me even transfer you to someone we work with to help you process them, because as HR, I really need these things in the system. You're starting with your colleagues next week. I was like, wow, there's even someone to do it for us. And I asked him, is it going to be expensive to help get that help? And he's like, no. Let me just give him your number, and he's going to expect your call. And also forward you, his number is called Leonard Mbatia, and he's going to help you process everything, so don't worry. Me, I'm there, I'm thinking, wow, this is so nice. I even called him back and asked him, and how much are you guys offering, just to be sure? And he said, we are going to offer you Kenya shillings 35,000. Isn't that an answered prayer? Like, if you were me, wouldn't you just say that, wow, God, you work in amazing ways? Anyway, so I was in the sitting room, I was just chilling, watching Kardashians, and I'm like, oh, enjoy your freedom, because now you're going to 8 to 5, just sit down, relax. So now, I call my dad, because he works in insurance, and I'm like, Dad, I've got an internship, and they need to process my insurance details, because they're giving me health insurance. I'd even prayed for health insurance. He's like, what insurance? And I said Noble Insurance, because that's what he said. And he looks it up, and I also look it up later on, stupid me, and I can see Noble is like an agency for insurance. It's not an insurance per se. I can't even remember. So my dad was like, okay, what do they want? And I'm like, they need 1,000 for helping me process my certificate of good conduct. And in fact, when that guy told me, you're going to need 1,000 for certificate of good conduct, he said, you can even check the website. The price is just the same. So don't worry, we won't take any more. And for insurance, you're going to need around 4,000. Around 4,000 or 6, I can't even remember. So when I talked to my dad, he's like, that's a bit weird, because I can't see any of your any insurance called Noble Insurance in Kenya. I was like, no, Dad, this is real. Like, I've really prayed about this internship, and because I've passed, they're not even needing an interview. They just want to help you process the documents so that I start on Monday. I even convinced my dad. So when I'm trying to really remember, because it's last year March. When I called him, I said, okay, fine. How much in total do I need? It was around 5K, but I can remember I parted ways with 2K extra, so a total of 7. But I can't remember how. But you see, I called my dad because I had no money. I was just at home. And so he was like, okay, Mag, I'm going to send you the money, but are you sure they're not con men? And I was like, no, Dad, God really has answered my prayers, and these people sound so convincing. But if you don't believe them, here's their number. I gave him the number of the person who was processing, because I had even called that person, called Leonard now, and he said, Margaret Muga, I've been waiting for your call. In fact, I'm just heading to CID to process CG for who, their certificate of good conduct, and na by the way, wamekwambia wanataka nini hauna. I even listed those documents that I had and those ones that I didn't have, and he listened and said, don't worry, this will just take 2 hours. I'll process for you everything. Okay, I'm laughing at myself because wow. So my dad talked to him. Somehow they convinced him, but at the same time he told me, be careful. So I was like, Dad, negative energy, bye bye. So he sent the money. No, he sent me the money, then I sent that Leonard guy the money to process for me the certificate of good conduct and all my insurance things for health benefits, etc. And then he told me after 2 hours I'll keep you on the loop because I'm there. It's a bit crowded, but I'll find my way. So when he's there, he even texted me like after 1 hour, just be patient, still processing. I mean, I was just sitting watching lunch. I even told the person we were with in the house, can you imagine how God has come through for me? I've got an internship that doesn't require me to do interviews, and they had all my details, and they're offering me exactly what I prayed for. So at 4 o'clock now, this is a conversation that started CG9. 4 o'clock comes and Leonard is Teja, and I'm like, maybe his phone just went off because he said it's a busy day. Actually, he sent me at 4 o'clock. He actually sent me a text message for reference numbers for whatever he was processing. How dumb am I? I don't even know. Anyway, at 4 o'clock, later on after he sent me the reference numbers, he said he's still processing them and I'm going to receive everything on email, everything scanned on email. At 4 o'clock, when his phone went off, it didn't ring a bell. I was like, busy day, yeah. So I called Brenda again. I told him, Brenda, I've gotten privilege finally, and these guys don't even want an interview because they said they really wanted someone who had passed, someone who had worked in XYZ MNO farm, and they just like and they're offering me 35K. And Brenda was like, wow, that's really amazing. Yeah, so I was like, I've sent him money to process for me because they've even offered to process for me documents, and because they've offered to process for me everything, so I'm just waiting for their feedback. I've been refreshing my email, but I can't see anything really. And she was like, okay, and have you tried calling the law firm, like the other guy who called me from the law firm, to see what's happening? I was like, I don't want to put pressure on them because I really don't want to put pressure. You know, you don't want to start doubting people, and they're really kind to you. You don't want to pressure them. So she was like, okay, fine, let's do this. We sleep on it, then tomorrow we try and call. If not, go to the law firm and just find out. We try and call them so that we follow up. I was like, okay, fine. The next day, in fact, I slept peacefully. I didn't want to tell my mother, in fact, because I didn't want to jinx it. I didn't even share so much. I didn't want to jinx it. The only person who knew was my dad. In fact, that evening, I spent my time arranging my suits for my internship that I have gotten, because I was an employed person, so I looked for outfits that could fit me. I arranged them somewhere. Anyway, so now next day now I start to call them, and both their lines are off. And Cizia was like, no. I was still encouraging myself in my head and telling myself, you won't jinx what the Lord has put for you on the table, just as you prayed for. So I kept quiet. So at 4 o'clock, Brenda calls me and she's like, Muga, did you call the law firm? And I'm like, no. In fact, I should call them. She's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't even have internet. Could you please check for me their number? She checks for me their number. Now the farm itself on the website, we see, get the number. So I called them and I'm like, hi, my name is Margie, and yesterday you called me. You told me I have pupillage. I just wanted to speak to Mr. Nixon Tetu. They're like, Mr. who? Mr. Nixon to your HR, and she's like, we don't have such an employee here. I'm like, what do you mean? Your HR called me yesterday and told me I have secured a place for pupillage. She's like, no, we don't have Nixon T2, my dear. Who did you speak to? Do you have that number? I'm like, by that time I was panicking. I was cussing. I was like, shit, I've been conned. Fuck. Oh my god. And she's like, relax, just send me the number, read out the number. And I'm like, oh my god. Okay, tears just started coming down. I started crying. I'm like, you're sure? What about Leonard Mbatia? I'm like, no, we don't have such people. And I'm like, weren't you looking for pupils? Hadn't you employed me? Because the thing is, I made my online application with this law firm and then I dropped it. So it was so believable. And by the time she's like calming me down, now I hung up. Now I just started crying. I was on the floor, my god, crying up next to the clothes that I have removed. I'm like, I have been conned. So I called my dad and I told my dad, I've been conned. He's like, Marg, relax. I'm like, no, I've been conned. He's like, just try and relax. These things happen. I really suspected it, but I didn't want to burst your bubble. Don't worry. People have parties with more money, and I'm like, no. Tell me, he's ever been conned a lot more money than whatever I've been conned. So it's like, don't worry. I cried. You guys, I cried because I was like, how can someone use my weakness, my prayer points, to con me? Like, how can they use my situation that has put me down for so long, that I don't have pupillage and everyone has pupillage? How can they use that? Like, how bad are people? Like, I could not believe the evil that was in this world. And so I cried all day, and then I finally told my mom, and she was like, hey, pole sana. I shared it with my sister. You guys are just conned. Like, I could not believe. I cried. Brenda was like, don't worry, you've dodged a bullet. And in my head, I didn't want to hear. I was just a mess. What happened? I stayed without pupillage that week, and I was done. I was done applying to law firms. And this is why, looking back, I am glad it happened. Because one, I've always shared my story with law, falling in and out of love with law, and how I worked in a law firm and how it drained me. It drained my energy. Like, it drained the life out of me because I was miserable. I was doing something I hated. As much as I remember how it felt. This was even before Kenya School of Law. I had written an email even to myself that every day that I live has to be very purposeful before I quit. And at that time, I felt like I was not living my purpose. I was not really making use of the days that God has given me on this earth. And I remember feeling so bad about it. And I wrote myself an email, and to my boyfriend at that time, my boyfriend, still current, and I was telling him, remind me of how bad I feel when I get out of this place, like get out of that space in life. I was like, this email should remind me. So when I was applying for jobs, for law firm jobs, I was just doing it because everyone had gotten pupillage and I was a bit desperate, and I really needed to start. And even though I had also prayed that God to lead me where His grace can keep me and where I can live my purpose and be a happy soul, I was doing everything in my power to take me back to that situation that I was, that dark place. So looking back, when I was conned, I put a stop on all applications that I was doing, and I just prayed, God, I need pupillage somewhere that I will learn, but I will be able to be myself in terms of do things I also love, have time to do things that I really love. That's music, blogging. And a week later is when I met my friend, and she's like, come to the Court of Appeal, do your pupillage here. It will enable you to learn, but there's not so much pressure that you have to work extra hours and not live your life. Like, you can able to do other things but as well as learn. And that's when I applied at the Court of Appeal, and I got it like immediately. Also, I'm sharing this video because it might happen to you who's out there looking for a job, etc. Because 2 weeks later it happened to my sister, but now she was aware of what was happening. She was aware because she got a call. And what I learned is these guys got my details from the cyber. They got my details from the cyber, and the recycle bin, because I remember when I was applying I used to delete, but I never emptied them further in the recycle bin. So they got my details there. They called, they had my number, because your cover letter has everything. They had my number from there. And so this is just a lesson to tell you guys, when you're making applications in the cyber, please go to the recycle bin and empty it. Like, empty it, leave no evidence. These guys are serious. The con men in Nairobi are serious. Everyone is out to live. Yeah, so that's my story of how I got conned, my first time getting conned. And I'm more vigilant right now, but I'm really happy it happened, because then we don't know what would have happened. You just have to live and learn. Yeah, live and learn. So tell me, have you ever been conned? What was your experience? And I hope you enjoyed story time. Bye bye, see you on the next video.